Einstein once said, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it." And there's no way he was talking about money here. When we think of the phrase, the words compound interest, we usually think about money. But there's no way Einstein was referring to money here, okay? This guy was a scientist. He was in the quantum world. He was in science. Compound interest isn't just about money. Your skills compound. Your exercise compounds on your body. Your thoughts compound. You spending a certain amount of time in a field of study, in an area of work, that compounds. When you spend the time in a certain domain and you iterate, and you work, you iterate, you learn, okay? Iterate, it's an exponential return. You see, we're conditioned to think linear. Linear is easy. Oh my goodness. 1 plus 1, 2, 1 plus 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how we view learning and growth. When in reality, it's an exponential game. The exponential function, compound interest, the exponential function is used to represent anything that has steady growth. And that's you. That is you. So this is what Einstein was referring to here. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. This is actually how things work. And linear returns are just as predictable as exponential. It's just that we don't want to wait for those exponential results to come through. When in reality, this is how reality works. We are playing in an exponential game with linear thinking. You see the disconnect there? So this might be exactly what is trashing your results. Because your momentum breaks when your thinking sucks. You're thinking in a linear way, but you're playing an exponential game. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So Einstein says here, he who understands it earns it, the exponential thinking. He who doesn't pays it. So when you start working on something, let's use an example here. How does this growth function work? The exponential function, right? As opposed to linear. Well, we want to think of growth as 1 plus 1. Okay, when we start working in a certain domain, we can use my experience. When I started working in digital marketing, we want to think it's 1 plus 1 to 2. So 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. That's linear. When in reality, it's an exponential learning process. So 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4, 4 goes to 8, 8 goes to 16 to 32, and it goes like that. It's exponential. So when you start working in a new domain of work, for example, my digital marketing experience, how I got started in this online space, now I do one-to-one coaching here on my YouTube channel, obviously. But when I started in digital marketing, I wanted it to be linear. I wanted it to be a linear process. I wanted it to be like I put in 1 hour of work and I get $20 back, right? Because that's how we're conditioned to think. It's a very easy way to think. Predictable. When in reality, it's an exponential return. Life is an exponential game. So when I started working in the digital marketing space, it was 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. And in those early times, you're not going to see very much results, man. So this is where your disconnect happens. Whatever thing you're working on, whether you're in the digital marketing space, sales, it's an iteration process. You got to iterate and you learn, you reassess, you work, you iterate, learn, iterate, learn, iterate, learn, and it's an exponential return. This is the process of compound interest. It's not just money. It is the game of life. It is the things that you're working on. It is your relationships. It is your work. It is your exercise. It's an iteration process. And the reason you're not getting the results that you want is because your thinking sucks. You're still thinking in a linear fashion while you're playing an exponential game. You see the big disconnect there? Oh my goodness. Linear thinking in an exponential game. You have to match exponential thinking with your exponential game. Then it makes a lot more sense with what you're working on. You feel the match there, and you feel your iteration process. How you're just iterating on things, iterating, learning, and there's a momentum to that. But your momentum breaks when you think in a linear way while you play this exponential game. So you have to think in this compound interest way with your growth process, with whatever it is you're working on. That's where your momentum gets very powerful. And you experience that over time, over your iteration process. The exponential function is used to represent anything that is growing steadily, and that's you. That's what you're working on. It was never a linear game. You've always been playing an exponential game, but you're conditioned to think in a linear fashion. Start thinking in terms of compound interest, in terms of the exponential.